Hello again and welcome back to Tech Live London and to our final keynote of the afternoon, and it's definitely one you do not want to miss. We are talking generative AI, demystifying the hype, busting the myths and harnessing the AI revolution. I know this is one plenty of people have been waiting for, so here we go. We are joined by Kate Maxwell, Chief Technology Officer, Defence and Intelligence, Worldwide Public Sector at Microsoft. Kate, hi, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you. I hope everybody's had a great day so far. It's awesome to be here with you.
Thank you. No, it's been a fascinating day. It's always interesting to see how the discussion sort of spiders off in different directions and links together. And so, as ever, I always urge people to watch back anything they may have missed during today, either on stage 1 or stage 2. But as I said, this is one you do not want to miss, so go nowhere. Kate, it's over to you.
Thank you very much. So hello, everybody. As you heard, my name is Kate Maxwell. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Worldwide Defense and Intelligence at Microsoft. I'm delighted to be back with you again this year for Tech Live. A massive thank you to Technology Magazine and BizClik Media for the invitation and the opportunity. And thanks to all of you for taking this moment to be with me for this session, which I know is the last one of your day, on generative AI, harnessing the AI revolution. So we have about 25 minutes here. I'd like to take you on a whirlwind tour through the artificial intelligence landscape, including where we are today from a technology standpoint and how we got here. We'll talk about what generative AI is as well as what it's not. We'll discuss some of the impacts that are being seen and felt and experienced across all industries. And we'll talk a little bit about how you and your organization can prepare for this and can start leveraging this in your daily activities. And along with that, I'd like to do a little bit of level setting and also myth busting along the way. So thanks again for being here with me. And with that, let's dive right into it. And I want to start by saying this. At Microsoft, we believe that the world is on the cusp of a technology-driven inflection point right this very moment. This change is not just coming, it is here, and it is happening right now. So the pace of change that we're seeing in technology advancement continues to increase, and this moment in generative AI really is monumental. And I think as a society, we frequently fall victim to all of the hype cycles, the comings and going of those hype cycles, especially in technology. And I know everybody on the line is certainly understanding of that. But I'm here to tell you this. When we are talking about generative AI, this is real. And I believe this hype really is warranted. Now, I also acknowledge that it might feel like we got to this point overnight. But this moment in artificial intelligence has been a long time coming. This is literally years and decades of research and development in the making. And here we are. And this is happening now. So these AI capabilities continue to advance incredibly quickly. They're grabbing the headlines every single day. You can see just a snapshot of this here on this slide. And I hope by now that everybody who's attending this event has had an opportunity to at least read about ChatGPT, these large language models, and learn a bit more, broadly speaking, about generative AI. And hopefully you've already started experimenting with this to some degree, either on your own, and I hope you're finding it useful in your daily activities, or perhaps you're already working with your organization to figure out how to adopt this capability at the enterprise scale. So no matter where you are in that journey, I'm here to tell you that this is real, and this is happening today, and it's out there. And quite frankly, the speed of advancements that I think we're going to continue to see are mind-boggling, as are some of the impacts. And I want to share some of those with you now. So at Microsoft, we're helping industries across all sectors as they adopt and leverage artificial intelligence for their own internal enterprise gains, as well as to improve their end products and services for customers. And certainly we're seeing this pay big dividends already in the industry that my team serves, the global public sector. But the impacts are especially evident in some more commercially facing industries. And I want to share some of these with you because I think these stats are eye-watering. There's 3 that I can share today. And I want to start with CarMax. They recently deployed the Azure OpenAI service on top of a vast customer review database. And what they shared with us is that CarMax is now reporting they can do in days what would have previously taken a single CarMax employee 11 years to accomplish. I mean, that is stunning to me. Progressive Insurance is a similar example. They're now leveraging AI-powered chatbots to save $10 million every year as their bots answer up to 200,000 queries a month. and they're doing it with personalized, intelligent, text-based responses thanks to generative AI. And finally, EY, another great example. They're using intelligent document automation with their clients for a new contract auditing service, and they estimate that they're saving their clients an average of 250,000 hours of manual work per client. These are just the basics. And there are so many more examples where these came from. And I'll tell you from personal experience, it's not just hours and dollars that are being saved here. It's better decisions that are being made. It's higher productivity and collaboration that's being experienced. It's more effective code that's being written. And in highly regulated industries, it's missions being supported. That's the power of this AI revolution, and it is happening right this very moment. So I want to ask everybody on the line today, is your organization prepared to leverage these capabilities? Are you experiencing impact yet at any scale? And ultimately, how will your organization seize the full potential of artificial intelligence while also safeguarding your business and your data and your employees and staying true to your values in the process? These are big questions. And I think they're questions that every organization and every business leader on the other end of this conference has to be able to answer. So no matter where you are in that journey, including if you haven't started yet, today's a really great day to begin, and we're here to help. So hopefully that sets the scene for what's happening in the world of artificial intelligence right now. But I want to dig in and give you an overview of the technology itself and how we came to this point in the AI revolution. So looking at this chart, this is a very high-level overview of the history of artificial intelligence and machine learning and large language models as fields. And it might, again, seem like we're entering a new era of AI here. But honestly, this has been a long time coming. There have been lots of big milestones in the field along the way that have brought us to this inflection point that we see today for the transformative potential of artificial intelligence. So if we get in our time machine here and we head back to the 1950s and 60s, that's when researchers first began to explore the possibility of creating machines that could think like humans. And they did that by creating symbolic representations of knowledge and then using that to solve problems. Fast forward to the 70s and the 80s, and you see AI research begin to shift away from that symbolic AI towards more sub-symbolic AI, which involved using statistical methods and mathematical models to solve problems. And then in the 90s and 2000s, this is when AI research continued to evolve, and some subfields seemed intended to emerge and also started to pick up pace. One of those was machine learning, which focuses on creating algorithms that allow computers to learn from data without being explicitly programmed. Another is neural networks, which are mathematical models inspired by the structure and the function of the human brain itself. And now here we are today, right? 2021 and forward. Generative models like GPT-3, 3.5, 4, DALL-E, and many more have risen and continue to advance the field of artificial intelligence. These models are a subfield of AI, and they focus on creating systems that can generate new examples like images, text, speech, even code, and that are similar to examples from a given data set. So when we think about generative AI, you can think about this as these models being classified into two broad categories. You have generative models and you have discriminative models. Generative models, examples being GPT and DALL-E, they work by learning the underlying probability distribution of a data set, and then they generate new examples from that learned distribution. Discriminative models, things like deep neural networks, these learn to differentiate between the different classes or categories of data, and they're great for tasks like image recognition and speech recognition. So bottom line, AI has come a long way since its inception in the 50s, and it continues to evolve and improve at an incredibly rapid pace today. And when we think about where artificial intelligence is going, this is it. The future of AI is largely built on these foundational models that are flexible, that are reusable, and that can be applied to just about any domain or industry task on the planet. And these foundation models are at the heart of many of the latest breakthroughs in generative AI in particular. So when we think about a foundation model and what it is, this is a machine learning model that is trained on a large amount of unlabeled data, which allows it to be adapted to a wide variety of tasks. So these models capture patterns. They look for general patterns, they look for structure of data, and then they aim to replace the task-specific models by unifying the different tasks and the modalities all into one. So an example of this would be a large language foundation model that can provide various forms of natural language processing to accomplish tasks, and you could use it right out of the box because of it's been extensively trained leading up to its deployment. And I will also note, training these things is incredibly complex. It's also incredibly compute resource intensive. These are very large. That's the understatement of the day. And they require a significant amount of data. And so I want to share with you a little bit now about that scale. So here's a quick primer on large language models. Large language models are machine learning models that use natural language processing, NLP, to process text inputs and generate text outputs. And they're a form of neural network that makes use of large collections of parameters applied to training data to answer questions and translate text and generate application code and a whole bunch of other useful tasks. So when we say a large collection of parameters, I mean, again, massive understatement. I think this chart gives some indication of scale. GPT-1 was built on 110 million parameters. GPT-2 shot up to 1.5 billion parameters. GPT-3, just a few years later, 175 billion parameters. And now today we are in GPT-4 time, and we're talking about a staggering 170 trillion parameters, trillion with a T. I think this kind of growth is just incredible. And what it means is that these models are significantly improving in their ability to generate coherent and contextually appropriate responses to prompts. Now, in terms of how these things work, at a super high level, they're statistical models. They don't know things. They don't understand questions or the answers that they're generating. They are trained on massive amounts of data, both structured and unstructured, and that helps them learn how to predict the next word in a sentence or sequence based on the context of the previous word. So one example here, we asked ChatGPT, why is the sky blue? And it generates an answer. So you can see it says the blue color of the sky is, and what it's doing is it's predicting the next word in that sequence as it works word by word. It's a next word prediction engine. So ChatGPT obviously is a powerful tool. We've seen that already. It's fantastic at augmenting human creativity, and it helps us reduce time to value for a lot of tasks. However, there is a challenging side to this as well, and there are also a lot of myths out there about what this is and what it's not. And so it's essential for us to understand the limitations of these models and always be turning a thoughtful and critical eye to how they're deployed and what outputs they're producing for us. So considering that, there's a few myths that I want to address right now around GPT in particular. And the first one is GPT is sentient. False. GPT is a machine learning language model. It's capable of simulating human-like responses based on its training. It does not have the ability to perceive, nor does it have awareness of its surroundings. It also has no self-awareness or emotions. It is a next word prediction engine. So it doesn't understand the meaning of the text that it receives or the text that it generates and outputs. Not sentient. The second myth is that GPT is unbiased, which is also false. We know that human beings are biased. We are. We all carry our own biases. And as such, GPT is biased by the nature of the data that it's been trained on, which includes a large corpus of internet text that might include examples of bias, racism, sexism, disinformation, and other inaccurate and offensive and potentially harmful content. We have to be aware of that. So GPT cannot be assumed to be a reliable source of objective or unbiased information, and we have to carefully monitor and evaluate every single output that comes out of it, and also recognize that these models continue to evolve, and they're going to continue to be programmed to help detect and mitigate bias, even in the training data that's fed into them. And the third myth I want to address is that GPT can solve any problem, which is also false. GPT is a large language model. It is best suited to generate predictive text based on a prompt, but it, again, does not understand the meaning of that text, either that it receives or that it generates. It's also not well suited for tasks that require other types of intelligence or different models. So it's not good at math or spatial or logical or emotional intelligence reasoning. We also have to remember that it can't solve problems beyond its training data and domain of knowledge. It's generating patterns based on the data that it was trained upon, not current data, the data that it was trained upon. And it predicts the next word in that response based on those patterns and the underlying statistical model. It doesn't check for fact accuracy. It doesn't even know what facts are, right? It has no awareness of the factual. So we have to recognize that. And also sometimes we see something called hallucinations that pop up. These are essentially outcomes that the model generates when it does not have sufficient ground truth or training to help it generate an appropriate answer for the situation. So this is where the importance of things like model fine-tuning and model grounding come into play. We train the models, we put the models through their paces and leverage human evaluators and lots of feedback to support reinforcement learning. And then we refine and optimize the model and evaluate again, and so on and so forth. And again, I want to reiterate something here, which is that we should always, all of us, we should always be evaluating the outcomes from these models with a critical eye, especially in scenarios where there could be high consequences. So that's kind of the history of artificial intelligence and how we got to this point with generative AI. I want to share a little bit now about the relationship between Microsoft and OpenAI. OpenAI was founded in 2015 to advance and promote safe and responsible AI. In 2018, they released that first version of GPT, and the year following, 2019, Microsoft made the decision to invest $1 billion into OpenAI and their research. And since that time, Microsoft Azure has remained OpenAI's exclusive cloud platform provider, and we've now extended our partnership through a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar investment so we can continue to help advance OpenAI's work and the field of AI at large. So as a company, from a Microsoft perspective, we believe in this technology and these capabilities, and we want to make it safe and accessible and democratized for the world. And so now to do that, we're working to deploy these OpenAI models across our entire consumer and enterprise portfolio. And we're constantly seeking to introduce new categories of digital experiences and what we call AI co-pilots that are built upon this underlying capability. So we are really excited about this partnership, and we look forward to seeing all that it means for our customers around the world. Now, the underlying models that underpin this relationship are these three. You have GPT, which stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. This is a type of AI model that uses deep learning and natural language processing for text generation and completion. You have Codex, which is a set of models that can understand and generate computer code, including translating natural language prompts and commands to code. And this is a descendant of GPT that's been trained on both natural language and computer software code. And then finally, you have DALL-E, which is a set of models that can generate or manipulate images from natural language prompts. So to date, again, we've been working really hard to bring these OpenAI models to our entire Microsoft product suite and portfolio. And I want to offer a few of them to you now so that you can start leveraging them in your own AI exploration. I want to call attention to the Azure OpenAI service first. This enables developers and organizations to essentially access and use all of these AI models, the generative AI models in the world, and that includes GPT models, as you can see here, as well as DALL-E, right in your own Azure tenant. So there's a number of features that are provided with this, including access to a wide range of these pre-trained AI models, such as the ones you see on this slide, tools for fine-tuning and grounding those models for specific use cases for your enterprise and your industry, all while maintaining the privacy and security of your own data within your own Azure tenant. And then, of course, APIs for interacting with these models, which makes it easier for developers to integrate the models into their own applications. And again, I think the most important part here is that when you leverage the Azure OpenAI service, that comes with all the scalability, reliability, security, and compliance promises of the Azure cloud. So along with the Azure OpenAI service, we've also been announcing many of these AI copilots to every Microsoft Cloud experience. We announced the Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is your copilot for work. This works alongside you in all the apps that hopefully you're already using for your daily productivity and collaboration tasks. So Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Teams, Outlook, and more. We also announced the Dynamics 365 Copilot, the world's first AI copilot for CRM and ERP. We announced Copilot in Power Platform, which builds on our years of infusing AI capabilities into low-code and no-code solutions. We offer the Microsoft Security Copilot, which helps empower defenders to detect hidden patterns, harden defenses, and respond to incidents faster than ever before using natural language prompts. And my personal favorite, GitHub Copilot, which has been delivering just incredible impact to the developer community. We see now that 75% of developers who are already using that Copilot say that they're able to focus on more satisfying tasks, and they're seeing significant improvements in productivity and speed of development with the use of this Copilot. So these are just a few. There's many more coming, but we're constantly trying to bring the power of OpenAI to our Azure portfolio for our customers. So that's the background. I hope by this point that you're asking yourself, great, how do I get started with this? And I would offer a few suggestions as potential starting points in your AI journey. First of all, getting AI ready means that you've invested time in evaluating and preparing your data estate at the organizational level, and that you're preparing it to move towards the cloud. That is where the magic happens. It's where you will have access to these large language models that require a lot of compute, and it's where you'll also gain access to these SaaS applications and APIs so that you can leverage those underlying models we talked about. And again, I want to reiterate, this is a hyperscale cloud moment. The amount of compute that's needed to effectively train and refine these models is astonishing. Not to mention, access to model updates only happens in the cloud. So if you want to stay on the cutting edge with artificial intelligence, the cloud is where it's happening. And I would highly encourage you to think about how you can get your organization there if you are not yet there. The second thing, learn and practice good prompt engineering techniques. I love this one. I've got a slide to follow where I'm going to share a little bit more with you about what that means. Third, define and live by your AI principles and responsibilities. Again, I'm going to talk about this one a little bit more too, because it's so critically important and I can't emphasize it enough. Know what your North Star and AI guardrails are and live by them. Put them at the center of everything that you do. And then fourth, select some starter projects. Find some proofs of concepts for you or your organization where you can start to quickly start to see and demonstrate value and where the risk is low. And then use those POCs to learn, to grow trust and adoption, to refine your approach, and then to scale accordingly. And again, one great way to do that is to start with that Azure OpenAI service we talked about, or one of the existing Copilot experiences that we've denounced. Prompt engineering. I love this topic, and I would encourage everybody to explore this no matter where you are in your AI journey. Prompt engineering is a critical skill for the era of AI, and I think it's going to be increasingly important in the modern workplace. To fully take advantage of all of these models, you have to know how to properly craft and refine prompts for your requests. So prompt engineering is the practice of writing effective inputs called prompts to guide these language models towards good outcomes. And successful prompt engineering requires at least a basic understanding of the capabilities and the limitations of these models, as well as the domain and the context of the task at hand. And it involves a lot of experimentation, trying different prompt formats and structures, evaluating your output, identifying some metrics and criteria for yourself to figure out what a good output looks like. And I will tell you, this is not just a technical skill. This is a creative skill, and it requires communicating with machines in a clear and concise way so you can leverage all the goodness and strengths of them while also avoiding some of the pitfalls that we talked about with these models. So as generative AI continues to advance, prompt engineering is going to be a critical skill. There's lots of great resources around this on the open web. I encourage you to check those out. And always keep in mind the elements of good prompts, which you can see here. Instructions, question or request, context for the ask, and then an output indicator or a response format. And finally, I want to share with you a little bit about trust, because this really is such a critically important underpinning when it comes to generative AI. We at Microsoft strongly believe that the development and the deployment of AI has to be guided by the creation of an ethical framework. This is a core value for us here at Microsoft. This is one we take very seriously, and we guide a lot of our customers on this as well. So our responsible AI principles have set a standard for the industry, and we share them broadly, and we're helping a lot of organizations now put these principles into action. We also know that data is the fuel that powers AI technology. So protecting your data is a top priority for Microsoft, and we make 3 fundamental promises with the Microsoft Cloud. First of all, your data is your data. That means it's yours to own and control, and it's yours to choose how you want to leverage, especially with respect to generative AI. Secondly, your data is never used to train and enrich the foundational AI models that are used by others. Only your organization benefits from your data and your business processes. And third, your data and AI models and your entire organization continue to be protected by the most comprehensive enterprise compliance and security controls in the industry with the Microsoft Cloud. So bottom line, as you embark on your AI journey, either individually or as an organization, think through this. And I strongly encourage you to consider and codify your own responsible AI principles. And you don't have to do that alone. You see at the bottom of this slide, I have linked to something called Governing AI, which is our Microsoft blueprint for leveraging and governing artificial intelligence in your organization and in society at large. We're happy to share that with you, and we're happy to help if you would like some help defining your own responsible AI principles and methods. So final slide, we talked about the what, we talked about the how. Here is the where to get started. And I will tell you, I think the single easiest way to start playing and learning with generative AI is through Bing Chat. I use it every single day, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, I was not always a Bing user, but I find it to be fantastic now and a huge time saver, especially on creative endeavors and for summarization purposes. So there's a link here. Just go to bing.com/chat, and you can start to employ some of your new prompt engineering skills. And then I invite you to consider what's next for you and for your organization. Azure OpenAI is incredibly powerful, as are the various co-pilots that we've announced. And for those of you in the developer community, GitHub Copilot is also a great next step. So with that, I want to wish you all the best in your generative AI journey. We look forward to your feedback as these announcements and offerings continue to roll out. And thank you so much for your time today. And I wish you a great rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Kate. Covered a tremendous amount of ground there, and really enjoyed your company this afternoon. Thank you for joining us at Tech Live London.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.